Na sasa mtazamaji, turejee moja kwa moja kule kwenye ukumbi wa Bomas ambako mazungumzo ya maridhiano yanaendelea. Tupate kujua yanayojiri sasa hivi.
Which goes to the core: fidelity to democracy, fidelity to elections, fidelity to the vehicles that bring you elected positions. Then we'll be missing. It will then be that anybody who wants to be elected in this country must look for millions and billions, and therefore the avenue for greater, deeper corruption. Would you please give thought to that? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Your Excellency, on the same. Now, let me take a few questions and then I'll give some of the legal questions to our lawyers. First, I want to address the issue. I wish if you don't distract His Excellency, because it's very important now. I want to hammer something very serious here.
Mr. Please proceed.
Now,
the committee is a committee.
The issue of 83 political parties, the one which was raised by Opio and I, and the strength of the vote. First, I want us to understand that PPLC as a platform, we want to empower it for purposes of participating in regulations or laws that work on the elections. We are not talking about legislative matters. Legislative matters can be done by Parliament. I want PPLC to be a body where the coalitions, all the registered political parties which participate in elections. So the issue of the vote does not come in. There is a matter of you are a registered political party, you need to participate in elections, like the 83 of them, and you need a fair and a fair ground. So the issue of the strength of the vote does not count here. That is where most people are missing the point. It's not the strength of the vote. So if you are ODM, if you are maybe another party, progressive party, you need a fair ground so that you can be sure that there is free and fair elections. The other day, we could not be having this problem if you were participating seriously in PPLC and the IPC has involved or has included you in ensuring that those forms that IPC brought that were more than how many copies? 4. If you were part and parcel of that, you should have arrested that problem earlier. So the other thing I'll say is an issue of public confidence in the process. If you are players in the football match and the referee comes and says, these are the rules of the game. So both of you agree on it. That's the environment we want. Public confidence, so that when we have a win that nobody has a dispute because he was involved in the process. The audit, even from your points, Your Excellency, as a committee, you mentioned the presidential audit. We are aware that the Supreme Court pronounced itself to the audit of the results. But what we want is if we want to be informed from feedback, if we have been having issues of feedback. And I tell you that the issue of result transmission, the result part, was a creation or rather association from the PPLC Naivasha. So that the result part, you agree, you sit in the table under the PPLC, not in the as the registrators in Parliament, but as members of PPLC, so that you agree on the games of the rule. How will the result be transmitted? So that now we could not be having any problem now talking about transmission. But for purposes of audit, we are talking about audit of the processes. We are not talking about audit of the results of 2022. I don't know what you meant, but for feedback, that's what we meant. I now want to give clarity on what you asked, that we have not come out clear on the panel. We are saying whatever recommendations the board will come out, some of them will be short term, some of them will be long term. In the long term is where we were saying PPLC will have that inclusion, but in the short term, where we can have the two coalitions having 2 people, so that we complete this process and we have a commission in place, so that the commission will also be part of any other the reparations on the future. Because if we talk about PPRC, IPC is supposed to be part of the dialogue platform. Now, I want to give Wachira so that you take up the cost of living.
Thank you. On cost of living, Honorable Amalwa was inquired which levies that we want scrapped. What we proposed there is a review of the levies. And some of them, you know, let's be very honest, okay? Like the railway development levy, okay? You know, we've started it. Some of these things, they need to be supported to handle their own burden. So a review of those, and then as petroleum products and petrol has been found a soft target. So whatever anybody wants, they go put a tax there because they know we don't have a choice. So they need to be reviewed as they were put, and we'll see the other ones that have not, that are not making sense. And on a very serious note, with all utmost respect, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, we are not going to pray our way to democracy. We cannot pray our way to democracy. If we need democracy, we have to engage the real main stakeholders, who are the political parties. So if we are going to start, we stop engaging political parties, we start bringing council of churches, the same people go to church, and the same people are members of political parties. We have to engage the main actors, who are the political parties. And we cannot, we don't have
why make me the target?
Because it's nothing personal, but I got it from you.
Wachira, in defense of my co-chair, you know, probably he looks like he's the most prayerful man in the room.
Yeah,
and he's a good Christian. But maybe when you mentioned the railway development levy, you are aware that that levy was to help the country in settlement of the SGR loan. Would you then have proposals for tax increments, then remove the levy, but tax Kenyans more to be able to repay those loans? When you talk about the fuel, the one for fuel, I don't know, it's called petroleum development levy, it's what cushions Kenyans to stabilize fuel prices. Would you opt then that Kenyans are subjected to the vagaries of the ups and downs of global oil prices without any cushion? When you talk about the road maintenance levy, it is what is helping Kura maintain roads. Would you propose that Kenyans forget about maintenance of roads and remove those levies completely?
Thank you. You didn't get me well. I said this. Inasmuch this is helping cushioning, these institutions that are being cushioned, they cannot just be left like a leaking pot. You know, there's no way you are going to fill a leaking pot. These institutions, they need to come with an airtight way of operation. If it's railways, we need to have it functioning properly so that we don't have to increase. You know, we cannot be getting misappropriation in some quarters and targeting a soft one to do it.
Help you, you're talking about governance of the institutions administering the fund.
Yes.
The funds, not,
yes.
Not the issue of removing the levies.
That's why we are talking of reviewing them, because when we review, we see who are we cushioning and what are they doing. That's basically the thing.
Okay.
I think, Wachira, I need to defend you against the co-chair.
Honorable co-chair, that was Honorable Gisore. Now this is Wachira speaking.
Oh, Gisore. Oh, thank you. Now we know. Thank you.
Yes. Now, the first question was on the constitution of PPLC. We now have 90 parties, up from 83 last year. And Honorable Andai has asked why we should be equal, yet we have different strengths in Parliament. Now, the problem here is that the law is set in such a way that it views us to be all equal. All of us are required to have 24 offices in 24 counties that are active and operational. all of us are required to promote our ideology and ideals to the public equally. All of us have the same registration, auditing, and all these other processes. They are all equal. So if the law treats us equally in terms of the work that we put in, then we should also be treated equally in terms of the decision-making process that comes out of it. Secondly, when we talk about the strength of a political party, we must look at it from our historical context. There was a time KANU was the strongest political party in this country. We had PNU. If at that time we say that PNU must have a bigger say than ODM and all these other political parties, then where would we have been today? That's why we are saying, even UDA, for example, now is probably the biggest party or the second biggest after ODM. But it's the biggest party. But
we shall not make that a point of contest. Please proceed.
just 2 years ago, UDA was called PDR. It was one of what we call small parties today. So if we had discriminated against PDR back then we would have had a very difficult situation for UDA today in terms of the transition and everything else. So within PPLC, if a party feels that it's a bit bigger than the rest, then it has the responsibility of speaking to these other political parties so that they can have a joint position on many of these things. And I can tell you for a fact that within PPLC, there are so many arguments that happen in there. We have ODM, we used to have Jubilee, we have all these other political parties, but there are certain points which we agree on, irrespective of our individual differences. And that is where we view PPLC coming from. Even this committee that we are presenting before, there are certain things that the parties do not agree with. But we are sure that at the end of this process, there are certain points that all of you will be agreeing with. That's the purpose of PPLC.
Thank you, Achira. I think we must make progress. We have heard you generally. We are past...
Na mtazamaji, itakuwa tunaendelea kufuatilia mazungumzo hayo yanaendelea kwenye ukumbi wa Bomas, mazungumzo ya maridhiano. Nitakuwa tunaendelea kukujuza ni yapi ambayo yanajiri kule. Lakini kwa sasa tuende kwenye pumziko fupi. Nitakaporejea nitakuwa naingia katika sehemu ya pili ya jarida kwa mazungumzo. Leo nikiwa nalizamia swala la uandishi na uchapishaji wa vitabu humu nchini na kwenye bara la Afrika kwa jumla. Usiende mbali.